Howdy folks, welcome back to Jester's Garage, Thunderstorm Edition. Today I'm going to be working on something that I didn't exactly want to work on. But, you know, life has a way of impeding progress, at least with me. My daily driver took a dump on me Sunday, 50 miles from home. Turns out, I think it's the fuel pump. So we're going to troubleshoot that. I've already done a little bit of troubleshooting, but I want to run through some steps with you, for if you need to do it yourself. We're going to do some troubleshooting, we're going to replace it. Hopefully I'll be able to drive it. And we're doing it in the rain because, well, when it's your daily driver, chances are it's not going to be inside. And you're probably going to be working on it in weather you don't want to be working on it in because you got to get to work. So anyway, we'll get started on that. But first, I wanted to say thank you to Rock Auto for their terrible packaging. If it doesn't work, I'll know why. No, we're not working on this, although I really wanted to, and I'm still having trouble getting some parts figured out and cleaned up for this thing, but this is coming soon, trust me. Nope, today we're working on this, my daily driver. I was down in Kentucky running some errands, getting some lunch, and the fuel pump decided to just stop working, or so I think. I believe I've confirmed it, but we're going to go through that again today. This is my 05 Scion XB. It's got almost 300,000 miles on it, but it gets good gas mileage, right? It's all I need in a daily. So we'll get set up, I'll show you how to take this thing apart and do a little troubleshooting. Great packaging. Sure, those work great. So I bought a Denso fuel pump for this this time around. Bomba de gasolina. How about that? The fuel pump that's in the car is actually an Airtex, and I put it in the car in January. What is that? Less than 5 months. The fuel pump went out. So instead of getting it replaced under warranty and having it go again in another 4.5 months, I stepped up to the Denso because Denso does a lot of OEM stuff for Japanese cars, and I don't feel like doing it again. But only Airtex had the strainer. Oh man, I didn't get a magnet. Alright, we gotta get the back seat out of here, but I'm already getting rained on, and I had a phone call that lasted a half hour, so everything's really wet. Anyway, so to get back seat out of these XBs, you gotta split the difference on the styled fabric. That's the word I'm gonna use. Split the difference here. That's where the clip is, right about the center of that. You gotta pull up on both sides. Obviously, I can't do that while I'm sitting on it. I've already tucked the seat belts in, that's easy. But this side, it's about in the center too. So you can see, if you can't see, sorry, you're gonna get held up back here. I can't pull it out. There's a catch back here underneath this back seat I'll need the screwdriver for. I've already been in here. We're gonna pop that off. I'll show you how to get that out. Okay, so I got you set up in the back here. I can't find my vice grips with the needle nose type ends, so we're just gonna use pliers, needle nose pliers. You got a cargo cover, that's got to come up. If you got other cargo covers, those have to come up too. and out. Come now. There we go. I'm putting these in the garage. Now you might be able to get to that little catch on the seat with all your stuff still in the way. But it might be easier just to remove it. Let's see what I can do. Here it is right here. Let's see if I can zoom you in. It's right here. There's a little bit of orange foam around it. I'm going to have to grab on that and pull it up and let it go forward. I'm just going to take the spare out. There we go. Just like that. Back inside, now the seat can come out. Just like that. Okay, so seat's out, seat belts are pulled under. Next thing you're going to do, pull this flap up, and it's Velcro. I've already been in here, so it's all loose, because I did do some preliminary troubleshooting on this. Next, you're going to be faced with this metal cap. Now, the first time you remove this, it's going to suck, because it's on there good. But you have to basically get under it and pry it up all the way around, because it's got black adhesive, very sticky stuff. Pop this out, this grommet, lay this aside. That's your fuel pump sending unit assembly. I think it's for evap. This is your plug for your power. I broke the clip on it a long time ago. It still holds on there real nice. That's how you access the fuel pump. Now, I'm gonna do a little, I guess, troubleshooting reenactment for you to show you how you can figure out if your fuel pump is going bad. Or I should say, has gone bad. So we gotta come under the hood. Now, I have no idea where the fuel pressure regulator for this car is, if it even has one. I'm not familiar with these cars too much, but what I do know is there is a high pressure fuel hose right here. This fuel hose right here goes to a connection right by the valve cover. There's a connector right here that you can get off. You pull this funny little clip off, you can get access to this this little guy here. There's two little gray squeeze clips that you can push to get this off of this hose here. Now, in theory, I should be able to start this car and no fuel comes out of that hose if my fuel pump's bad. I've already tested this when we got the car home and no fuel came out at all. Of course, now it'll make a liar out of me, so let's try it. I'd also like to say, don't do this if your engine's hot, because the manifold is right here and you know, gas goes boom. But this car's not hot, it's been sitting for a week. You should see fuel come out right here. I'm going to pop this vacuum hose out of the way a little bit to hopefully show you. Come on, there we go. Let's see if I can see that. Yeah, you can just see the nozzle. Nothing. Fuel should have sprayed everywhere. So I'm going to reconnect that. Okay, so here we are back inside the car again. This is the clip that provides main power. 4 connectors in there that that have something to do with stuff. I don't know, I'm tired and I'm hungry. I'm going to find my ground and I'm going to use a test light to check for voltage. I don't remember which one of these is the... we'll find out. Process of elimination here. Again, I've already been in this. I've confirmed we have to here, but you'll see what I'm saying. There we go. That was a good signal. So that tells me this fuel pump should work, but it doesn't. So now we got to take it apart. All right, let's see if I can work on this thing and still give you guys a good angle. So I should really only need this screwdriver, this 8mm and a ratchet, maybe an extension if I'm feeling like I need it. And these really come in handy. These are magnetic picks. These are Cornwell. My buddy Chaz got these for me. Thanks, buddy. Anyway, what I was showing you earlier with this, this doesn't prove that the fuel pump's good, but what this does prove is that the relay and the fuse, if it has a fuse, I don't even know if it has a fuse or not, no clue, don't know enough about this system, proves that that's all working from here forward. We need to get into there. So I need to get this apart. Now, nice thing is, I've been in here a few months ago. Everything should come right apart. Like I said earlier, I broke that clip when I first got this thing apart. That kind of sucked. Now these might look a little rusty, and they are, but since the inside of the threads has only ever been subjected to gasoline, these actually came right out. They have a Phillips head, but you're not going to be able to get them out with that. Lefty loosey, righty tighty, dummy. That's why I brought the extension. Before I take that last one out, I'm going to take this yellow clip loose because I remember that sucking real bad last time. It's a job for my little picks. As soon as I remember how it came apart. Oh, basically just pull it with a screwdriver. Don't get too overzealous, you'll fling it in here. That's why I'm being careful. Because I almost did the first time I took it apart. At least you can go to the junkyard and pay $2 and get one for free. Wink, wink. I'm kidding. I don't remember exactly how that came apart. Ooh, there's fuel in that. I think I used the picks. Though now I don't recall. Maybe my fuel injection, what you call it, quick disconnect tools. There we go. Maybe those will work. Oh. brought them all because I don't remember which ones I used. But we're fixing to learn. Let's try with the obvious choice first. I can see now why I don't think I used these. Oh man, my red one's broke. That's probably the one I need. Let's see if it fits. If it'll stay together. To get my super glue. No, it doesn't even go under it because there's not enough room. Okay, got two small flat blade screwdrivers. Let's see if I can get these to work. I feel like that's what I did originally. Got it. One tiny flat blade screwdriver. Who needs fancy fuel injection quick disconnect tools, right? Okay. Last little screw. Alright, so I know this had gas in it. It's just going to have to kind of go everywhere. And remember the orientation in which this came out. This points backwards. Clips are on the side. This one's in the front. And there's also this little semicircle here, the tab to line it up. Come on. And there's our dripping fuel pump. So let's go change that out. Actually, I'm going to let it drip a minute. Okay, so you got your fuel pump out of the car. You got it in the garage. This also contains your fuel filter. So if you've ever been trying to change the fuel filter on your car and you don't know where it's at, it's in here. So if you've never changed a fuel pump on your Scion, I absolutely recommend you buy this piece. They sell this on Rock Auto. They probably have it in the parts stores. It's a common Toyota part. But you're going to need this. You will reuse this, and you will reuse this housing down here, and you will reuse your float assembly. But this gets replaced because the filter is in here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So I brought my screwdrivers and my picks with me because you're going to have to pop it apart all along here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. Gross. This has a rubber seal around it too, so don't lose that. Just get her started, and it'll be a lot easier to get another one started. Because you're going to be fighting this thing all the way around if you try to pop one apart and go to the other side. And as you can see, I'm struggling right now. Don't get too aggressive because you will crack them. But see, look at that. Pop two apart, the rest of it comes apart pretty easily. Gasoline. Just like that. But see, that one popped back in. You little bugger. There we go. Just like that. Now, you can't just yank it apart. You got to take this clip out because this goes for the float level. Now, you have a little more access here. And look at that. There's my culprit. I don't need a fuel pump. I bought one anyway. These fancy solder connectors I used, degraded. Ain't that something? So we still got to take it apart. This little guy can be a pain in the butt. Don't destroy that, because they don't sell them at the kit. You see this piece holds the strainer rubber piece in, and whatever that is, check valve or something. I hate these little one-way clips, but thankfully I have a new one. Wow. wiring straight disconnected. I'm not going to worry about that too much. I'm going to just replace it. Just going to replace the wires. Well, the pump. It's already apart. I'm afraid straining it to voltage may hurt it. I don't know. Well, the solder held on that. Didn't do well for these. I'm going to let the fumes in here air out, and I'm going to have to put another connector on these wires. Doesn't look like I'll need any of this. It's exactly like the one in the car, of course. I'm already seeing a problem. I was not supplied with a wiring harness, which is not cool. Because the Airtex pump made me change the harness. Wouldn't have any of this trouble if I didn't have to change that harness. Well, thankfully, the Airtex is the same harness. I was going to be really upset if it was the factory Scion harness, which is long gone. Now if I could just get it out. Silly me, didn't remember which wires were connected to which. Guess I'll have to review the footage. Okay, I've reviewed the footage, and now I remember doing this too. It's yellow to blue, gray to black. Pretty simple. And I think perhaps where I failed was not getting the wires to touch each other, past each other, when I put them in the solder connector and used the solder connectors. So, I just got some Amazon solder connectors. I mean, you can see the solder's still on there. It works just fine. I'm going to use them again. I don't remember what color I used. Red. Solder connector. A little bit of solder in the middle, and then heat shrink tubing on the outside. Fancy wire strippers. Just gonna try to get some of this old solder off. Just by grazing it against the sharp edge here. Now in theory, I should stick this, see if you can see it. Step behind the camera. Sorry. I need the silver of the wire to go through the solder in the middle. But I also need the blue wire to do the same thing so I can solder them together. It looks like I achieved it. Just going to do the same thing for the other one. I tell you what, I don't like these solder connectors. I let it sit, cool off, came right off again. So we're butt connectoring it and heat shrinking it. I don't want to do that, but that's what I'm doing. See, it all hooked to the original wiring and none to the aftermarket connector. I don't much understand that. I've unfortunately shortened my harness considerably. Tried and true red butt connectors. Coupled with a little piece of heat shrink, I guess we'll be okay. Got my yellow and blue crimped together. Just going to heat shrink it real quick. The heat shrink fits real tight, so it should shrink real good. Ah, that's hotter than shit. Okay, got that one crimped together. Now I'm going to heat shrink it. I got 2 pieces of heat shrink on here because I cut too much sheath off the wire. Alright, so here's my fuel pump harness repaired. Let's throw that new fuel pump in there and put her back together. Okay, we're back uncomfortably on the floor. The harness is back together. Now, this little ground thingy here, you can see that. There's little fingers on the inside of that circle. I gotta flatten that back out. So, I grabbed some needle nose pliers that I used earlier. Because that has to snug fit in that little housing. Yeah, that worked pretty good. Okay, old pump. Gotta get my new pump. Okay, new pump, old pump. Pull this little cap off. Pull this little plug off. Shouldn't need any of that. But I will need all of this. So, let's see. Having trouble remembering how it all goes back together. I'm sorry. Maybe I do need some parts off of this. No, they're right here. They're right here after all. Look at that. Who'd have thunk it? And now they're on the floor. Shit. So you have to take this plastic spacer, this O-ring, and this cap and put it on this one because it has to snug fit into this. Up in there, if you can see that. So here's my little white cap, here's my O-ring, and here's the proper spacer. So that goes on, then that goes on, and then this goes on. That's a snug fit, by the way. So now we got to put this up in here now. And that will be a snug fit. There we go. Fuel pump stays in. Okay. Now we will plug our fuel pump in after we rotate it a little. Go away, fly. Shoo! Shoo! Clip. Alright, I gotta get rid of this fly. Go off. Alright, now we have more light because I opened the door and evicted the fly. Got our fuel pump plugged in right here. You can rotate the pump a little bit to make that work. Now we gotta put this top hat back together. So we don't need any of these pieces we just had. I'm gonna take this guy. And so this fuel pump connector is the original part of the harness. That's going to go right here. The sending unit for the level will go right here. This little fellow that I had to straighten out is going to go right here on this pin. And this little guy, I don't know exactly what it's for. It looks like a secondary ground. It's going to clip onto the side here. So 2 grounds, I don't know, maybe one. If you can ground the fuel to the tank, then magic, I guess. So hardest one first, and that's this guy. I'm going to find a small socket and tap that down straight with. Ah! Flies everywhere. Why? Okay, so I found the 7mm. It'll go right on this just fine. And that's nice and tight. Great implemented method of bashing. So now we can plug our fuel pump in, plug our sending unit in, and this guy, if I'm not mistaken, sort of came around in here. Like so. Yeah. It's a little bent, but that's okay. It's not going anywhere. Tight, tight, tight. Most important of all, these wires. Tight, tight. New fuel pump in. Let's snap this top cap back together. Make sure all your wires are tucked in. There's an O-ring here because there's an O-ring right here. I'm going to push that back down just for safety's sake. That has to line up right there. Otherwise this goes only together really one way. It's like Return of the Fly in here. Snaps together just like that. Like so. So now, this is back together. More fuel is leaking out of the fuel filter. Now we can put our fuel pump sock or strainer back on. Two different little one-way clips. I'll use the one that's already out of the bag because I'm lazy. This only goes one way. There's a pin that lines up with a hole here. Just push. Oh, there's also a cap in here that has to come out. It's like, why wasn't that fitting? Goes right on. Take this little clip, bash it on there. Use a screwdriver or something, or 2 screwdrivers. There we go. So, fuel pump is installed, sock is installed. This little fella goes back on here, like an anti-vibration, and it keeps the pump from moving in and out. Go away! That one about went in my mouth. I can snap this back on. Now the fuel pump cannot move and your fuel pump assembly is back together. Plus this guy. There we go. Now we can put it back in the car. Now it's the easy part. So, we'll see you in the car. Okay, so we're back in the car. Now remember, this little tab's got to line up with this little half circle. Do you remember what direction this went in? This went back. Now you are going to have to finagle it in here because this and that, you can bend this. You don't want to bend this. If you bend this, well, let's just say you're not going to know how much fuel you really have. Okay, that went in pretty painless. Just gotta find its exact little home here. Got some rust schmoo in the way. There we go. That's pretty lined up. So we'll start some screws here. You can't really tell, but I put some anti-seize on here when I first had this car apart back in January. I forgot, this guy has to go in there. But let's connect this fuel hose back first. That just pushes on and you're done. That just pushes in and you're done. Take your little yellow clip, slide it in from behind. It is a little tricky. Got to give them this little collar there. There we go, that's in. That's secure now. That's a plug. That's pushed and connected. This can go back on. This one's going to be a bit of a bear, right down in the center here. Just have to stick your finger through the front of it, hold the screw so it doesn't get away, and then put it in. Now I don't want to tighten all this all the way down yet, just in case something doesn't work. But I want to snug it up, at least a little. Because I want to test this fuel pump. But I don't want it to run in open air. I don't know. I'm weird. Okay, so that's all back together. Enough to plug in. As I told you, that stuff's sticky. Ah, goodness gracious. Probably shouldn't have put them on there. Anyway. Plug that in. Plug that in. That sits on there good. Let's go see if we hear that fuel pump. Not hearing it, but Maybe it only primes when I'm cranking. Hey, look at that. She runs. Not good, but she runs. Smoothing out now. We have some fuel pressure. I'm a little concerned that my fuel tank is saying I have zero gas, because this fuel tank is half full. She runs. But she shows no fuel. I don't know why. I'm going to take this all back apart and see if something's not right. Ooh, just about lost that screw. So for some reason, even though my plug is fully connected, nothing wrong with the harness, all the wires are in, I was showing a zero fuel on the gauge on the car. So I'm going to fool with it out of the tank and see why. So, fuel reads 0. Slowly moving up. Okay, well, I sweeped it from the bottom to the top, and my fuel gauge did slowly go all the way back up. Let's test it on the way down. Okay, well, my fuel sending unit works 100%. I don't know why it didn't work when I put it in the car. We'll just have to throw her together and try again. Okay, so what I've done off camera, I pulled this all back out. I may have shown that. I took this sending unit off. There's a clip. Whoops, spilling gas everywhere. There's a clip on the side here. If you push it down, you can push this up, disconnect your plug, it comes off. I took this and I sat it in there, and there's nothing wrong with the float. The float works just fine. So, I don't know, perhaps it's a ground. Maybe this ground here has to touch the tank and get tightened down. I don't have a clue, but we're gonna throw it together and completely tighten it all down and see what happens. Because I'm hungry and it's way past dinner time. Okay, well, let's see if I'm a dummy and it was just a ground, shall we? I also had a dielectric grease to all my plugs, just in case. Still not coming up. It's not good. But I got places to be this weekend, so we're going to send it in hopes that it just magically corrects itself. 100% together. Throw the lid on it. Moderate pressure seals that. All my tools are accounted for. It's fired up again. The fuel pump works. I don't know how much gas I have. Okay, well, next day I loaded up all my tools to go to the junkyard to get a sending unit out of another Scion that's supposedly down in Kentucky, place where I broke down. I go to turn the car on, and as if by magic, look at that. What the heck? So I started driving down the road and I noticed the fuel light went off. I looked down, I see the gas gauge slowly going up to a half a tank, which is exactly what I had in it when I pulled the fuel pump out. So I go to the gas station and fill it up, thinking, well, you know, maybe it'll stop working when I turn the key off and put fuel in it. Nope, still works. So I guess I'm not going to the junkyard today, and I can put the car back together and do all of the things I had to do today that involved not working on a car. Well, it's time to start the reassembly, starting with the back seat. Seatbelts can be a bit of a pain. There we go. Well, once we got the belts in, we got to pull this little thing again that holds it under the back seat. Just that easy. Now we got to mash the seat down. So remember, well, that one already went down. Look at that. Basically, you got to find the hole, put a little pressure on it, and you hear it click, and it's in. Back seat's done. Reattach this little thing, just because I don't like it flopping around. Reinstall the cargo. Done. I always keep a lockout kit, an emergency kit, and a snow brush. You just never know. Alright, so there we are. She's back together. Everything's just fine. Somehow. If by magic. I think it knew I was going to the junkyard today, and it didn't want me to leave it there. Anyway, just wanted to say thanks to my good friends Matt and Tiffany for coming to rescue me, and my good buddy Chuck for getting me out of the heat for a little while when this thing broke down. If you found this helpful, I know there was a few people on the First Gen Scion XB group on Facebook who were asking for sort of a step-by-step on fuel pump replacement. So if you liked it, you found it helpful, even though I had some weird issues, hit the like button. Anyway, thanks for watching. Oh. Ah, cramp. Oh, cramp. Oh, God. Okay, let's try again. Ah, cramping. Oh, still. Oh, God. Okay, that leg's gonna stay straight.